I want to say something straight out. If you're watching this because you can't work out why your food shop keeps going up, that is not your fault. But there are people who very much want you to think it is. Because the moment you believe the problem is that you're not frugal enough, not savvy enough, not hunting down enough deals, you stop asking questions about the people who are actually making money out of you. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Here are the facts. In 2021, the average British family's weekly food shop cost around £85. In 2026, it's £119. For families with children, it could easily be £160 or more. Not because you're buying more, not because you've got extravagant, not because you haven't tried, but because there is a system, a carefully designed system. And that system is taking more from you every single year. It is working better than ever. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how that system operates, who benefits from it, and the one thing you can actually do to take back some control. Not life hacks, not a listicle. The truth, the kind most finance channels won't tell you because it makes their sponsors uncomfortable. Before we get into the numbers, let me just name your life for a moment. I am genuinely tired of finance content that treats food spending like it exists in a vacuum, as if you could just optimize your shop and everything would sort itself out. So let's look at what actually surrounds that supermarket receipt. There's the rent or mortgage. If you're renting a 2-bed in most of England right now, that's north of £1,000 a month. In plenty of places it's £200, £1,400. There's the council tax. Average band D in England for 2025 and 2026, £2,280 a year. That's £190 a month, just for the privilege of living in your own home. There's energy. Even with the price cap, the average household bill is still several £100 a quarter. It's not what it was in 2022, but it's absolutely not what it was in 2020 either. There's the car. Insurance that went up again at renewal. Petrol. The MOT that always seems to find something. There's the phone contract. Broadband. The subscriptions that crept in one by one. Netflix, Spotify, that app you signed up for and forgot about. And now they total more than you'd comfortably admit if someone asked. If you've got kids, school dinners, after-school clubs, the shoes they've grown out of again. And then, after all of that, there's the food bill. Here's what's important to understand. The weekly shop is not just one bill among many. It is where the entire weight of the British cost of living crisis lands, every single week, in a trolley at a checkout. And unlike rent, unlike council tax, unlike your energy direct debit, this is the one thing you feel like you can actually control. That's why it feels so personal when it keeps going up anyway. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because this is the last battlefield, and it is being tilted against you. So here's the question this video is actually answering. Food inflation is supposedly easing. The ONS says food price inflation was 3.7% in March 2026, well down from the peak of 19.1% in March 2023. The government says things are improving. The Bank of England says the worst is behind us. The news says inflation is coming down. So why are you still standing at the checkout thinking, this cannot be right? Why are careful, switched on, budget-conscious British people still feeling like they're being slowly eaten alive, week after week? The answer is this. Easing inflation does not mean what most people think it means, and there are 3 specific mechanisms operating underneath that headline figure. 3 things that are making your grocery bill bigger, less predictable, harder to manage, even as the official story is that things are getting better. Most people don't know about all 3, but once you do, you'll see them every time you walk around a supermarket. Let's talk real numbers. Number 1, £119 a week. That's the UK household average for 2026. Across all household types, single people, retired couples, students in a shared house. If you're a family, 2 adults, 1 or 2 kids, you're almost certainly above that. Estimates put a family of 4 at between £155 and £175 a week on home groceries alone. Call it £160, that's £693 a month. Just to feed your family, £160 multiplied by 52 weeks, £8,320 a year, just to eat. Number 2, and this is the one I really need you to sit with, food inflation peaked at 19.1% in March 2023, the worst since 1977. Then it came down. Now it's 3.7%. Everyone breathed out. The worst is over. But here's the thing nobody is saying clearly enough. Those prices did not come back down. They just stopped going up as fast. Cumulatively, from late 2021 to early 2026, food prices have risen by more than 25%, compared to before the cost of living crisis. And now, on top of that new higher baseline, there's another 3 to 4% every year. Number 3, and I want this one to land. In January 2025, 13.9% of UK households were classified as food insecure, meaning they ate less than they needed, or went a full day without eating, because they couldn't afford food. Nearly 1 in 7 households in this country, and these are not all unemployed households. Many of them are working. Some of them are working full-time. Number 4, in 2025, Trussell Food Banks distributed over 2.6 million emergency food parcels across the UK. That's 51% more than 5 years earlier before the pandemic. And 63% of those parcels went to households with children. I want those numbers to land properly, because they are the context for everything else we're about to discuss. Let me be direct about a linguistic sleight of hand. It has genuinely misled millions of people. The word easing has done an enormous amount of work over the last 2 years. You've heard it from the Bank of England, from government ministers, from news presenters. Inflation is easing. Food prices are easing. The worst is behind us. And when most people hear that, they hear things are getting cheaper. They are not. Easing means the rate of increase has slowed. It does not mean prices have reversed. It does not mean the family shop that cost you £350 in January 2021 now costs £350 again. That shop costs significantly more, and it will continue to cost more, just more slowly. Here's a useful way to think about it. Imagine you're climbing a hill. For a few years, you were going up a steep gradient, exhausting, breathless, genuinely alarming. Then the gradient eased off. You're still climbing, just at a pace you can manage. You are not going back downhill. You are not returning to where you started. You are simply climbing more slowly. And because the news cycle has moved on, because 3.7% doesn't make front pages the way 19.1% did, the story has become inflation is solved. The political pressure has eased. The urgency has faded. But your shopping basket is still sitting at the top of a hill that took 4 years to climb. This matters not just because it explains how you're feeling. It matters because it changes how you should be budgeting. Because the old normal is not coming back. This is the new normal. And the sooner you build your finances around what things actually cost now, rather than what they cost before, the less psychological damage that receipt at the checkout will do to you every week. Now let's go deeper. Because the cumulative price rise is real and it matters, but it's only part of the story. There are 3 specific mechanisms operating underneath the headline inflation number. 3 things making your grocery bill worse than the official figure suggests. And 3 things that, once you understand them, you will see every time you go shopping. Shrinkflation is when a product gets smaller, but the price stays the same, or goes up, you pay the same, you get less. The inflation figures don't fully capture it, because the product still exists at the same price point on the shelf. You've noticed this. Most people have. The Persil that used to give you 40 washes now gives you 37. Same box, same price. The multipack of Walkers that used to have 24 bags now has 22. Chocolate bars, tins, ready meals, the portion quietly drops and the price quietly holds. This is not an accident. This is not companies not realizing what they're doing. This is a calculated business decision. Because raising the price generates headlines. Shrinking the contents doesn't. You'll notice if something goes from £1.50 to £1.75. You won't notice if there's 10% less inside the packet, unless you're reading the small print on the back, which frankly none of us have time to do in a busy Tesco on a Saturday morning. And during the inflationary period since 2021, this accelerated enormously, not product by product, but across thousands of products simultaneously, across every major supermarket. That vague feeling you get when the trolley looks a bit less full than it used to for the same money is not your imagination. That's evidence. This one is newer, and it's more significant than most people realize. Most of the major UK supermarkets, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, the Co-op, now operate what's called loyalty pricing. Members get one price. Non-members pay a higher price for the exact same product. On the face of it, that sounds like a discount scheme. Sign up, save money. Simple enough. But the Competition and Markets Authority looked into this, and what they found is worth understanding properly. The question isn't just whether members save money. The question is, what is the baseline price? Because when the standard price is significantly higher than the loyalty price, when the non-member price is in effect a penalty, then the loyalty cards stops being a reward. It becomes a requirement. You don't have a genuine choice about whether to hand over your data. You have a choice between handing over your data or paying a higher rate for your weekly shop. And think about who doesn't have a smartphone, who doesn't have easy internet access, who doesn't have the ability or inclination to sign up to yet another scheme, often lower-income households, often older people. often exactly the people who can least afford to pay the higher rate. The CMA found that revenues from loyalty-priced products exceeded £5 billion in a single quarter. 22% of total grocery revenues at those supermarkets were flowing through loyalty pricing systems. This is no longer a small side promotion in the corner of the store. This is how supermarket pricing works now, and if you're not enrolled, you're not just missing out on a few pence here and there. You are paying a rate that was specifically designed to make you sign up. This is the arithmetic that nobody explains clearly enough. Another 3 to 4% food inflation on top of last year's prices. Last year's prices were already elevated from the year before. The year before that was the 19.1% year. Inflation compounds. It doesn't reset. Let me put real numbers on that. If a basket of groceries cost £100 in mid-2021, and food prices then rose by roughly 20% cumulatively through to late 2022, then a further 19% in the peak year, then moderate increases of 3 to 4% per year since, that same basket now costs somewhere in the range of £130 to £140, not because of anything you did, not because you switched to more expensive brands, not because you're shopping any differently, because every percentage point of increase builds on a higher starting point. This is the mechanism. This is why it keeps feeling wrong even when the headlines are telling you things are getting better. Let me introduce you to Donna. Donna is 36. She lives in Nottingham with her partner and their 6-year-old daughter. She works as an NHS administrator on a salary of £32,000 a year. Her partner earns slightly less, working part-time at a school. Donna is careful with money. She always has been. She plans meals roughly. She does one big shop a week and a small top-up midweek. She uses her Tesco Club card. She buys mostly own label for the basics. In 2021, Donna's weekly main shop averaged around £82, not luxurious, but manageable. In 2026, the same shopping behavior, same meals, broadly the same products, same supermarket, same approach, costs her approximately £118 a week. That's £36 more than 5 years ago. Every week per year, that's £1,872 more just on groceries, not rent, not energy, not the car, the council tax, the food bill, same family, same habits, same level of effort. Donna hasn't changed her behavior. The price has changed around her. Now let me show you where that £1,872 actually sits inside Donna's financial life. Her gross salary is £32,000 after income tax, national insurance, and her NHS pension contribution. Her take-home pay is approximately £1,980 a month. Her partner brings home about £1,050 working part-time. Combined household take-home, approximately £3,030 a month. That sounds like a reasonable income for a family of 3. Let's see what happens when the fixed costs come out. Rent on their 2-bed in Nottingham, £1,000 a month. Council tax, Band C in Nottingham City, £180 a month. Energy bills, annual average spread across 12 months, £160 a month. Car, insurance, petrol, road tax, service savings, £280 a month. Broadband and phones, £75 a month. Home and contents insurance, £45 a month. Daughter's school dinners and after-school club, £130 a month. Minimum debt repayments, credit card and an old personal loan, £180 a month. Total fixed costs, £2,050 a month. Take that from £3,000, remaining £980 a month. That's for everything else. Food, clothing, birthdays, the dentist, anything unexpected, any saving whatsoever. Now let's put the food bill in. Donna's weekly shop averages £118 with a midweek top-up of around £20. Call it £138 a week all in. Across a full year divided by 12, monthly food spend is approximately £598, £980 minus £598. Monthly surplus remaining, £382. That's it, that's what's left for a working family of 3 after fixed costs and food. On a combined take-home of £3,030 a month, £382. And remember, that is not savings, that's the number before clothing, before any kind of social life, before the boiler going, before the school trip, before Christmas. In practice, a lot of months that number goes negative. Donna is not irresponsible. She is not extravagant. She is doing exactly what a careful, hard-working British family is supposed to do. The margin is just this thin. And that food bill, that £598, sits inside a budget with almost no room to absorb going up now. I want to be upfront about something before I get into this section. Every finance video reaches this point and goes, here are 10 tips to slash your food bill. I'm not going to do that, not because those things don't work. Some of them do. But because they're usually framed as if the problem is your discipline, as if you just need to meal plan properly, pick the right brands, Drive to the right supermarket, and everything will be fine. That's the wrong story. The problem is structural, and individual adjustments have real limits. But within those limits, there is a genuine difference, and here is how I want to frame it honestly. Shopping the way most people shop, vaguely brand loyal on certain things, uses her club card but doesn't optimize around it, no batch cooking, no yellow sticker run, no system, weekly average 138 pounds including the top-up, annual food spend 7,176 pounds. Donna makes 4 changes. None of them require eating worse, buying less, or investing significant time. 1. She shifts roughly a third of her branded items to own label equivalents, on things where the difference is genuinely imperceptible. Pasta, tinned tomatoes, rice, tea bags, cooking sauces. This saves around 25 to 30% on those specific items. 2. She does 1 yellow sticker run per week, usually a Wednesday or Thursday evening, and freezes what she picks up. This typically saves 10 to 15 pounds on fresh items she was buying at full price anyway. 3. She plans 8 meals per week rather than shopping loosely and improvising. This cuts the midweek top-up from 20 pounds down to around 8 pounds. 4. She uses a price comparison tool, something like trolley.co.uk, to spot when staples are meaningfully cheaper at Asda or Lidl than Tesco, and adjusts her shop accordingly once a month. Weekly average 103 pounds including the smaller top-up, annual food spend 5,356 pounds. The difference, 1,820 pounds per year, not from eating worse, not from any dramatic lifestyle overhaul, not from obsessing over every single item. From 4 small, sustainable changes, that's 152 pounds a month back into a household that, as we just saw, is working with a monthly surplus of 382 pounds before variable spending. It doesn't transform Donna's life, but it changes her margin, and margin is what gives you options. Here's what I want to leave you with on the practical side. Most people treat the grocery bill like a feeling. It comes in high, they feel vaguely rubbish. It comes in under budget, they feel vaguely pleased, but they don't treat it like a bill. They don't assign it an actual number at the start of the month and track against it. Your council tax has a fixed number. Your mortgage or rent has a fixed number. Your energy direct debit has a fixed number. Your food bill should too. Give it a number. Track it weekly, not obsessively, just honestly. Treat overruns the same way you'd treat any other overspend. Not with guilt, but with information. Because when it's a feeling, you can't manage it. When it's a number, you can. We tend to talk about the weekly shop as a lifestyle choice. Which supermarket you use, which brands you buy, whether you're an Aldi person or a Waitrose person. This is the language of preference, of identity. Almost. And buried inside that language is an assumption that if your food bill is high, you're making expensive choices. That if you just made different choices, it would be fine. That framing has done real damage. Because the weekly shop is not primarily a lifestyle choice. It is the most exposed household cost in Britain. It has no fixed contract. No Ofcom price cap, no regulator setting limits on what can be charged. It is subject to commodity markets, energy prices, exchange rates, climate events, supply chain disruptions, all of which have hit British households harder and more persistently in the last 5 years than at any point in most people's adult lives, and it is being made more expensive, more opaque, and harder to navigate by pricing systems, shrinkflation, loyalty tier pricing, compounding increases that make it genuinely difficult for ordinary shoppers to know what the actual baseline price is. The weekly shop feels stressful because it is stressful, not because of your choices, because it is where the entire weight of the British cost of living crisis lands, every week, in a trolley at a checkout. That is not a personal failing, that is a structural reality, and it is worth being honest about. One thing I want to ask you. Not what you spend in theory, not what you plan to spend, what does your actual receipt look like? This week, this month, the real number. Because I genuinely don't think enough people talk about this honestly, without shame, without the defensive preamble. And when you see it named out loud, when someone puts a real number on it without treating it like a personal failing, it stops being an embarrassment and becomes a shared reality. Tell me in the comments, the actual number, not the budget, the receipt. And if you want me to go deeper on how supermarkets are actually using your loyalty card data, the mechanics behind the pricing system, and why it is not what they say it is, let me know below. That video is ready to be made. This video is for informational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. For advice specific to your situation, please consult a qualified financial advisor registered with the FCA.